Hey, you know what's awesome? Zelda. You know what else is awesome? Books. So I said to myself, why don't you try combining these things? Hi folks, my name is Adam and I like to make tiny nerdy things. And today I'm going to show you how I made this teeny tiny temple of time to fit on my bookshelf. So I started by making the walls. The easiest thing to do was to print out a couple of these sort of archways, which I have doubled up so that I have a small one and a big one, which I will meticulously cut out, and then carefully remove the centerpieces so that I have two that will line up neatly on top of each other. Then I need to trace these outlines onto some fairly thin XPS foam, and then once I have both the inner and outer sizes traced, I can start to cut out the center pieces. Then it's just a simple case of popping all of these center pieces out, leaving me with a beautiful and pristine wall. Then I'll start carving from that outer line to the inner line with a little bit of a slant to give it a sort of slanted window effect. I don't know, whatever this is, that's what I'm doing. Then I'm going to do the rest to all the other pieces of the window, and I'll do the same thing to the opposite side wall. There's going to be two of everything I make here, so anything I've done on one side, I'll do on the other side. Then I made some of these little greeblies out of some thinner bits of foam. These will add a little bit of depth and also kind of look like old-timey underwear, which is fun. And then while I'm adding all these other little pieces to the stonework, you'll also notice that I've carved bricks into everything. That is a recurring motif here, so anything I've made bricks. Now, for the pillars in the middle, I thought it would be easiest just to use some of this dowel I have, so I'll do the old snip and roll trick to carve off my pillars, and then once I've got three of these equally sized pillars, I can lay them on top of one another to make a single sort of triple triangular rounded pillar. Then I'll glue them all in place and come back through with a little bit of wood filler to seal the gap in the middle to make them look like a singular piece. To make the tops and the bottoms of the pillar, I'm just going to use a little bit of Apoxie Sculpt, which is a two-part epoxy, similar to green stuff, but I find that it is a little less flexible when it's cured, so it works really well for this sort of thing. It's not as easy to work with, I find, as the green stuff, but for big projects like this, it's perfect. So I'll do the little tops, the little bottoms, and tiny little thing around the edge, and then we're on to making the back wall. And then just to make the template, I've cut out a section of that original template, and then I'll trace that onto some smaller pieces, which I will then glue onto a little bit of the thicker foam. This will give it a nice 3D depth, and the back wall doesn't actually have any windows. They're sort of carved reliefs, I guess is what we'll call them, but then to give it a bit of depth, we'll add some more underwear to the top of this one, and then I've created a little back center, and this will be the tiny bit of the alcove in the back of the temple. To make the roof, I've taken a fairly large piece of XPS foam, and I've cut like a million lines into it. And then I'm going to go through and add individual bricks to every single one of those lines. Now I've sped this up about 2,500% because this took forever. But once it was cut out and sized appropriately, it was just time to shape it so that it would fit across the top. Now I was pretty careful with this, to begin with at least, because I was worried about snapping it like I snapped the first side while I was cutting it out. Turns out that this stuff is pretty pliable, especially once you've cut a whole bunch of little grooves into it, so it actually bends pretty easily. And then I added the little struts down the middle, as well as the sort of X-beams and some little circly dealies to fit along the top, and then that's the roof essentially done. All I need to do are add a couple more of these little greebly dealies in there, and then carve some tiny little stone shapes into the beams that run across it, and then I can attach it onto the frame. Now, while everything is getting glued on now, I am going to come back through and remove everything, which renders the whole gluing process pointless. So to save a little bit of time, I would recommend not gluing at this point, just making sure everything lines up. I made a little triangle that will sit at the back to enclose the rear of the roof, as well as provide something for the roof to line up to. And then we're on to making the little dais platform thing that the statue sits on. So I've carved out a little piece of foam, and then using a ruler, I'll add some very intricate little design into it. And then I've carved the top, and I'll add some little pillars and a tiny set of stairs. Then it's just a case of lining that up inside to make sure that it fits nicely. Then we're on to making the roof. My original plan had me wanting to use stir sticks. Well, no, I didn't want to use stir sticks. I've never looked at a project and wanted to use stir sticks. It's just they tend to work out really well, so I end up using them anyways. But because I didn't have any pieces that were long enough, I just ended up using a little bit of chipboard, which I cut into the same width as the stir sticks, and then I'll just use actual stir sticks as the cross bracers for the roof. Now, I want to take my time and line these up perfectly so that when I attach the left and right side of the roof, I know that there's no weird gaps. And you can see here just how good my eyeballing was to make sure that all of these are equally spaced along the top.
Sorry, sir. Doing my best.
Then I'll come back through the scalpel and trim off all the little bits that are overhanging so that I know that it's not going to stick out any further past my walls. And then all these little separate pieces I will set aside because I don't believe in wasting anything on this channel. Then I'm ready to assemble my two parts. I've made a left and a right side. I'll use a little bit of dowel down the middle to hold it in place. And then I'm going to use a tiny bit of super glue and line this up perfectly. So once I've taken the time to line it up, and then I'll use my little speed square to make sure that this is perfectly 45 degrees. Then once I'm happy with that angle, to make sure that it doesn't move around and it's sturdy, I'll use a little CA activator to enable the super glue, and it will stay sturdy and strong, and I don't need to worry about it breaking. All those little pieces that I set aside are the perfect length for adding little strips across the roof. And then with those in place, I'm ready to start breaking stuff. So I'm going to take my pliers and really go to town on one side of the roof. This is that section of the temple that has like that great big gap in it. So I'm just going to start peeling and snapping and ripping. And I'm not really using anything but the pliers because I want it to be really ugly. Like I want splinters and stuff sticking out ad nauseum. Then for the wooden section of the roof, I'm going to cut a bunch of thin strips into both sides of some thin XPS foam. This will act as the wooden part, and then I'll do the exact same sort of a thing to another set of roof tiles, and these will act as my shingles. Then with both parts of the roof cut, I can start breaking them as well. So with the wooden section, I'm just going to use the same pliers and rip and tear and pull and snap so that I've got a nice broken, snapped wooden appearance to it all. And then once it lines up with the broken part of the roof, it's looking pretty decrepit. And then for the tile portion of the roof, I will chop out some strategically placed tiles to make it look like the shingles have fallen off, and it'll line up nicely with the wood sections that we've carved out as well. And now for the rest of the body of the temple, we are ready to break stuff. I'll use the section of the roof that I have already broken up to determine where the best parts of the ceiling can be removed, and then I'm just gonna sort of go to town with pliers and tweezers and the scalpel and just chop out a whole bunch of parts until I'm happy with the wanton destruction and chaos that I have sowed in the thing that I've spent 8 to 10 hours making up to this point. Now to hide the unsightly seams where the pillars will fall when I put it on the bottom base, I've added a little bit of wood filler in to sort of fill all those gaps. And then I've carved a couple of lines into the bottom of my floor as well. Most of this is going to be covered by grass, but I wanted to make sure that there was something there anyways. Finally, I'll add a little debris to the floor using chunks of the ceiling and the wall and the roof that I snapped off previously. So then the last piece to make will be the statue of the goddess herself, which will be just sort of a bullet of Super Sculpey, and then I'll carve the little face into it, add little hands and some folds, and then stick it onto sort of a plinth of Super Sculpey. And then while I'm at it, I'll also make some itty-bitty little, I guess they're like I don't know, they're like goddess cherubs. But I made 6 of those in total to surround the goddess herself. Then everything's ready for the painting. So I've coated everything in a thick layer of black Mod Podge to seal the foam. And then I'll go over absolutely everything with a nice dark gray base coat. I also decided that it might be a lot of fun to come back and repaint sort of every other brick a slightly different color to make it look a little bit older and a little bit more worn, because nothing is more fun than painting 10,000 individual bricks that no one will ever notice. The roof gets a fairly obvious brown for the wood, and then I'll add some varying shades of lighter colors to really highlight all the edges and just do a fun dry brush because I like to dry brush. And then the ceiling tiles will get a nice reddish orange under base coat thing, and then again varying degrees of slightly lighter colors to really tie it all together. Then we're ready to attach the statue, which will pop into place, and then I'll add all the little guys around the outside. I didn't really measure them at all, they just kind of went in wherever I wanted. And then I've cut a couple of little wing shape things out of just some paper that I painted with the same gray. They'll act as that little icon thing that's on the pedestals. Then it's time for the final stage, which is the wash. So this is a homebrew, which is basically just black ink, matte medium, and some flow improver mixed in fairly random quantities until I'm happy with how it looks. And this will go over absolutely every square inch of the temple before coming back through with some lighter colors again, just to do one final pass of the dry brush to highlight any sections that I thought were a tiny bit too dark. Then I can start adding a little bit more color onto the bottom of the base, so the sections that will be around the pillar I'll paint brown for a little bit of mud. And then I've painted each of the little stones and bits of wood and debris the corresponding colors so that they will stand out nicely against the gray and the green of the grass that will be coming right now. This is by far my favorite part of this entire process, and that's adding flock and static grass and just general vegetation. So this is a 3mm bright green, which I thought looked really nice against the gray. So there will be a nice thick coat all along the bottom floor, and then I'm going to add little tufts of flowers and different lengths of grass in just to give it some variation in height and texture. Then I experimented with a couple different ways of adding the flock and decided that the chef sprinkle of oregano is probably the easiest way to do it. So I just put a bunch of Mod Podge kind of wherever I thought it would look nice. And then I dumped varying degrees of foam in place until I thought it looked good. And it must look good because I even pointed it out to myself. Then to seal it all in place, I just need to open this, I just need to open this bottle. Just need to open this bottle of Mod Podge. Just need to open this bottle of thinned out Mod Podge, and then using a dripper and a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to let everything soak in, I'll drip it into all the sections that I've added that greenery to, and this will add some significant durability to it, and it will hold it all in place so I don't need to worry about little bits and pieces falling off. Then I will go through the rest of the walls and add different colors of flock into all the sections that I think it looks the best before adding the final spray of isopropyl alcohol and my sealing cement. Now, while I assemble this whole thing, I think it's worth mentioning why I opted for the Book Nook route. I had been wanting to make the Temple of Time for a long time, but I didn't realize how much detail there is in the whole thing. And if I think about how it took me roughly 20 hours to make all this stuff, I haven't even scratched the exterior surface. So having to make the front facade, all the sides, the various pillars, there's an entire section at the front that I would have to build as well. And I just realized I don't have time. If I'm aiming to make weekly videos, I don't have time to make that much of a building. So by turning it into a Book Nook, I can effectively chop off the sides, the front, and a good portion of the detail around the edges, and then say that it was all part of my master plan. I mean, it was part of my master plan, but it was more me just running out of time than anything. So essentially, this was how I got around that issue of time while still getting to make the Temple of Time into something that I would happily display on my bookshelf. And then with the little beam across the top, we are onto the Glamour Shots. There you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this one. This was a lot of fun to make, and I think it turned out really, really well. Now, I would like to take a moment to thank my Patreons, specifically Linda Lagers, The Home, Miracle Shining, Mariel Rathmacher, Misko, and Mark W. You are making it possible for me to continue making these stupid videos. So thank you again for everything you do. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, man, I wish my name got announced at the end of these videos, well, good news. Head on over to Patreon and show how you want to support the channel. You can do as simple as buying me a cup of coffee or a whole bowl of noodles. Alternatively, if you want something a little bit more concrete than a Patreon pledge and you want to own a one-of-a-kind piece of art, then I sell every single thing I make. All proceeds go directly into my pockets. You don't need to worry about some massive media conglomerate getting your hard-earned cash. Essentially, these pieces take dozens of hours to make, so selling them helps me recoup some of the cost for material and time. It also means that I don't have to sling burgers or deliver mail anymore. Otherwise, I'm aiming for a Friday release on my videos from now on, so assuming things go well, we'll see you back here next week for something new. Till then, cheers.